The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today is the episode you've all been waiting for. Our Mayweather-Pacquiao preview. Now, usually when we do a preview like this, if this is your first time watching us, we go through the whole undercard, talk about all those fighters, break it down, everything. But we're going to be honest with you. The undercard's ass.
A lot of ass.
Stanky ass.
I mean, there's some TMT fighters, and Vasil Lomachenko's going to fight, so you know you got to get a very good display. But it looks like a bunch of showcase fights. Of course, Lomachenko is defending his title. I would suggest you should watch that because you're going to see a boxing lesson. Other than that, we're going to move on to the main event.
Yeah, I mean, we understand because when you're paying the main event fighters $200 million, it doesn't leave a lot for the rest of the pot. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Everyone's going to pay to see this fight anyway. You got people like Tito Ortiz dropping $250,000 on floor seats. Let's get to the fight. Now, we are going to start with the Pac-Man, Manny Pacquiao. 8th division world champ, the first 4-time true lineal division champ. And the second person was Floyd Mayweather. So we got two history-making fighters here squaring off for welterweight supremacy. Now, in Manny Pacquiao, we have a very fast, very powerful, very awkward southpaw. Someone who can give angles, someone who can counter, someone who can attack. The guy can do a lot of things. Excuse me. And he brings an army of followers with him.
A country.
Literally.
Actually, let's just go with all of Southeast Asia.
The entire Philippines is behind him. The Filipinos that have traveled around are behind him. Americans are behind him. There's a lot of people that want Manny Pacquiao to win this fight.
Let's not forget, he's been fighting in China for, what, the last 3-4 fights?
Yeah, he's fought there twice.
Twice?
Yeah, he fought Brandon Rios and Chris Algieri there.
Well, he has the exposure there, so I'm pretty sure they may be tuning in.
Yeah, they like him too. I mean, the whole world is going to be watching this fight.
Yep.
That's a given. So, you've got a very awkward guy here. Now, we're going to talk about a few things that will help him win this fight. First off, he's got to have a more sure jab. If you guys have watched Manny Pacquiao for years, some of you have, some of you have not, his jab sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired, and sometimes it's pretty damn good. On May 2nd, it needs to be pretty damn good. Because he's going to have to disrupt the timing of Floyd Mayweather in order to get his punches off. Which is a very difficult task, but if anybody can do it, it's Manny Pacquiao. That's why people want to see this fight. They believe that Manny Pacquiao is the guy that can finally break the May Vinci code. So starting off with that jab is the first key that he's going to need to break that code. What you got?
Really, he can't. He does a great job of closing distance very fast. Albeit not much with the jab because he's going to be at a disadvantage with reach. I think he's about an inch, maybe 2 shorter than Mayweather. So he's got to, yeah. So he's got to use his feet very well. And I mean, he can close the distance fast. He's got to be able to close the distance fast because if he's just going to let Pacquiao Mayweather do what he wants from the outside, then
it's a long night.
That's right. And when he gets in there, he has to reel off those combinations. I mean, if you're talking about speed between the two of them over long combinations or longer combinations, you have to give it to Pacquiao because he can sustain the speed and he can also sustain the power when doing it.
Yep.
But he can't go in there flailing. If you watch the Pacquiao fight, the first one, the Pacquiao-Bradley fight, I just want to talk about Pacquiao. This is also about Pacquiao. If you watch his first fight with Bradley, he threw plenty of punches. But I couldn't. The judges might have looked at it on a bunch of stuff, but really can't score him because it was like a lot of flailing He missed a lot of punches. And they were just glancing blows off shoulders, elbows, whatever. He's got to make those punches count. He just can't throw them just to be throwing them.
Now, conventional will, a lot of people are saying that he has to do that. Now, I tend to agree with Rob. You cannot waste punches against Floyd Mayweather. You waste punches, he's going to make you pay for it in some way, shape, or form. Now, another thing that Manny has to shore up is something that Rob covered at the beginning of his talk, is the footwork. Now, Manny Pacquiao is excellent at closing distance. Excellent. He's got some really good footwork. He can bounce in and out laterally on a dime, but a lot of times he gets caught out of position. And sometimes when he launches his volleys, he launches them from either too far or too close, and it leaves him open to be countered. Now, the only people that have been able to take advantage of that are also very special fighters, like Juan Manuel Marquez.
That's right.
Chris Algieri did it maybe like once when they fought. We all see how that ended up. Brandon Rios couldn't do it at all. We see how that ended up. There's a long laundry list of opponents that could not do it, and we see how they ended up. But he is in there this time with someone who can make him pay for those mistakes. So hopefully Freddie Roach has worked on Manny's footwork, has tried to help him judge the distance a little better so he does not fall in when he throws that left or jab from too far out. Otherwise, like I said with some other things, it's going to be a long night.
Now, he's going to have to shoot that straight left properly because he is a southpaw, and southpaws have given Mayweather trouble. But not only that, he did a good job when he adjusted in the Bradley fight, is he's going to have to step over and shoot those punches from angles.
Yes.
Not straight ahead, because if he's going to be straight ahead, he's going to be in the line of sight. With it straight ahead and lunge, he's going to be in the line of sight of Mayweather, who is probably going to either catch him with the counter right or check hook.
Yes.
And I think Mayweather is good enough to throw that check hook right over Pacquiao's jab.
Yes.
Especially if he leaves it, if he punches and he doesn't bring it back here, but down here.
Which, unfortunately, is a big-time flaw of Manny. Whenever he throws one punch, the other hand drops. When he throws that left hand, that right hand ends up down here. That's not a mistake you want to make against Mayweather. Especially if Mayweather learns that he can move to his left and completely catch Pacquiao off guard. Then that check hook is going to be there all night. We kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but
we'll go to that. Yeah. Now, with Pacquiao, it's interesting to see because you've noticed, at least since the Marquez fight, and now that Ariza is not in his camp anymore, how will he sustain his stamina throughout the fight?
Yeah.
Will he start off fast and keep up that pace for the fight, or will he decide to take rounds or time off during the rounds?
Yeah, he's been a lot more. He's been doing that a lot more noticeably.
Yeah.
In the last few fights, he's been a lot more cognizant of himself rushing in and getting caught. So he has used his boxing skill a little bit more, which is a good thing.
So he wants to stay consistent. Don't make those rests so prominent. I don't care if you have to steal it. You just don't want to make it obvious.
Yes.
And only turn it on when need be.
Yeah.
Because I think with him, he could be drawn into that fight because when you hit him, he wants that right back.
Yeah. Now, that could be a good thing because Mayweather isn't going to punch in too many combinations. He might throw 3-4 punches tops before he's like, all right, this is enough. I'm done. He's either going to tie you up or move out the way. So it would behoove Manny to punch with Mayweather and after Mayweather and also before Mayweather. He wants to be first during, and last in all exchanges.
Because if you watch any of his other fights, again, especially in the second Bradley, he was able to punch with him.
Right.
He didn't really punch with Rios. He was just first and last.
Exactly.
Because punching with Rios was not the plan.
Yeah.
But first and last, he got that last one getting out. He got the first one getting off, and then he would move out the way.
Yes. And then with a mover like Algieri, there was something that he's going to need to shore up as well. He wasn't really able to cut the ring off. And that's something that happened as well in the Shane Mosley fight. And keep in mind, Shane Mosley had an injured foot, but he was able to keep Pacquiao lunging the entire fight. Hopefully, he can use that lateral movement in this fight to cut the ring off on Mayweather and make him fight when he wants him to fight. That's what I'm talking about Manny. When Manny wants Mayweather to fight, he needs to close that gap, cut the ring off, and make him fight. Hopefully that's something they've been working on. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to be a long night. Is there anything else you want to talk about Manny before we move on?
No, cutting that ring out and putting Mayweather against the ropes. You saw Maidana, who hits harder, but you saw that's what he did. He put him against the ropes and make him go on the defensive.
Yeah, and with Manny being a much more accurate puncher, he should get some good shots in there. So, those are the few keys for Manny to be successful in the fight. Let's move on to Floyd. Now, with Floyd, you have pretty much the consummate defensive specialist with a very underrated offense. In order for him to really take control of this fight, he's going to have to do a lot of the things that Manny has to do. These guys are the top of the mountain. This is as good as you're going to get when it comes to these two fighters. They have the accolades and the resumes to prove it. We've seen their in-ring performances. This is the best of the best right here, and it's one of the reasons people wanted to see this fight. Now with Floyd, the same key with him is the same key that we had with Manny. Starts with the jab. Now Floyd is very good with his jab, and one of the good things about it is that he doesn't come forward completely with his jab. He will step into it enough to put some good power on it, and he'll step back out of range.
Especially with that stabbing jab to the gut. He has perfected that, and it will be effective in this fight if he uses it.
Yes, which I think he will. That one right there, especially because Manny counters the jab very well. And most times, it's on someone who steps in with their jab. Meaning, if I jab, I step in, and you see I'm still here. Mm-hmm. With Mayweather, he steps and comes back. So if Manny tries to counter, there's nothing's going to be there for him to counter. He's out of position. Mayweather counters him. Look for Mayweather to start doing that probably around the 4th or 5th round once he gets Manny's timing down.
Yeah. And with that, timing disrupts speed.
Yes.
It disrupts rhythm. That's how you take advantage of a fighter that has speed. It's timing. Now it's difficult, but once you get it, once you feel it out in a fight, then it's very effective because, again, once Manny lunges in, he can disrupt it with, again, a nice stiff jab. You can see, again, a very good example with Kell Brook versus Sean Porter.
Yep.
When they come in, a stiff jab will stop them right in their tracks. And I don't know if Pacquiao can really wants to take that punishment in a fight, so he may be very cognizant on lunging in there.
Yes, he definitely is going to be cognizant of that because of what happened to him with Marquez. And he's done it a little bit less since then, but I think eventually it's going to come. And when it does, Mayweather has to be ready for it. Mm-hmm. He has to be ready to counter once Manny comes in recklessly. Once he starts rolling that jab to get ready for that left hand, Mayweather has to be ready with either a check left hook to get out of there or meet him right in the middle with a right hand. I think he can do, or throw it in combination. Meet him with the right hand, check hook, get out of there.
And we know Pacquiao can be hit with right hands. Again, we saw it in the Bradley fights. We saw it in all of the Marquez fights.
Yeah. Chris Algieri had a little bit of success with it as well. But like I said before, you have to be a special fighter to take advantage of these holes that he has. We're dealing with a special fighter in Mayweather.
Now with Mayweather, again, that check hook is going to be important because the check hook is going to come in unison with either that right hand or turning Pacquiao and turning away from his straight left.
Yes.
You saw that in the fights with Marquez. It's either a step or just a step and pivot or just a pivot. And behind that is, or with that is, that check left hook.
Yes. And I personally think that after he turns him, he should immediately fire with something else. Because 9 times out of 10, Manny's going to drop his hands to turn around. I've seen him do it hundreds of times in other fights, and I don't think that's going to change. Once he misses that volley, he's like, oh crap, they're out of range. Mm-hmm. He drops his hands, kind of bounces and turns around, and at that point, Mayweather needs to attack.
And we're not talking about just the pot shotting. You need more than one punch at a time. I would like to see him do that, a check hook, right hand, and just come back, because it can be done with him.
Yes. He is capable of completing that combo and making it work. Another thing that Mayweather has to do is work the body. Work the body consistently, work the body effectively. We think he can do that as well. The stab jab to the body, left hooks to the body, right hooks to the body, uppercuts. He has to really open up the toolbox. Excuse me. Both fighters have to open up the toolbox, but really Floyd, because he's going in with a hostile crowd. He's going in with a active fighter. And as you've seen from the past few fights, just any amount of activity can sway the judges. Now, he says he's not worried about him. He kind of needs to be worried about him. Mm-hmm. Because if a judge can find 6 rounds to give to Canelo Alvarez, they're going to find rounds to give to Manny Pacquiao. If they can find 6 rounds to give to Maidana, they're going to find rounds to give to Manny Pacquiao. So he's going to have to win these rounds emphatically. Now, can he drop Manny? Can Manny drop him? I say yes to both. Because both of these guys shine against the smaller welterweights. And both of these guys, you guessed it, are smaller welterweights. Mm-hmm. Manny could easily make 135, 140. So could Floyd. Maybe Floyd may make 140, maybe not 135.
Right.
They're not big guys. And when they fought smaller guys, they have been very, very successful. The last, let me think, Marquez for Floyd, Sean Bay Mitchell going back before then, guys with Ricky Hatton, guys that move up to fight them, they usually have their way with and spectacularly. Chris Algieri for Manny Pacquiao, Marquez when he moved up to 130 to fight Manny, and in the third fight he had some good success. I personally don't think he won that fight, but he did have some good success in that fight against Marquez when he moved up. Mm-hmm. So both of these guys being smaller welterweights, I do think that their punches will be a factor. Both guys, I believe, are underestimating the other one's power, and they're gonna find that out rounds 1 and 2. That hey, this guy hits harder than I thought.
Yeah, look at Pacquiao is going to be the faster, more explosive puncher, but Mayweather is going to have more solid punches. He's going to have the stronger punches. So because he's so explosive, it comes from that kinetic chain starting at the feet with Pacquiao, and you can see it with that explosive. Because if you've seen his calves, they're freaking huge. So he can get off and get off quick. With Mayweather, he can plant, and I mean he can really plant and throw that right hand and a hook with a lot of solid power. Maybe not that bludgeon or explosive
concussive power,
right? But it's like, and his opponent will be like, okay, so that hurt, so let me just rethink this strategy.
Yeah, everyone says that Mayweather doesn't have power until after they fight him. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, he hits harder than I thought. They might not say that he's the hardest puncher they've ever fought, but they're like, hey, he hits harder than I thought. There's a reason these guys aren't running in on him. The exception of Marcos Maidana. He was like the only guy that was like, F it, I'm still coming.
Yeah, but he runs in on anybody.
That's true. And he got hit with some shots to get in, too. I don't think Manny can take those shots that Marcos Maidana took. Marcos Maidana came in the ring almost as a light heavyweight. He was close to super middleweight territory.
That's right.
When he fought Floyd both times. Manny won't go above 150. And neither will Floyd. Which brings me back to them both being small welterweights. They can and will hurt each other. Which is why people want to see this fight. So, there are many other things that they can do for each other to win. And we want to hear from you guys in a respectful way down in the comments section. As far as a pick, personally, I'm still going with Mayweather. Until he gets beat, there's really no way to pick against him. I mean, there is, because there's a lot of people doing it. They're more so doing it out of spite.
That's right.
But there are a lot of people out there who do feel that Manny Pacquiao has the technical capabilities to make this fight happen, to make this win come about. And he does.
He really does.
Unfortunately, I just think that there is a level that he will get to, and Mayweather is going to step it up, and he's going to leave Pacquiao behind. He does it in just about every single fight. People are like, oh, he's having this trouble, he's having that trouble, and all of a sudden, he's won like 8 straight rounds. I think it's going to happen again. Like, through like the first 6 rounds, people are like, man, this fight is really close. And then they're going to be like, what the hell's going on? Like, fight, Manny, what's wrong? It's like, there's nothing wrong. Mayweather has found out what he needs to do to handcuff Manny Pacquiao. He's going to do it, and it's going to slowly but surely become a one-sided fight. And it's going to make a lot of people sad. A lot of people.
Now, I can actually see them trading knockdowns, but it would be very early with Pacquiao again. It's going to be a fight in the first half of the fight, maybe in the first few rounds, and you're going to see Pacquiao actually start to get the better of him. But once the time, like I said, once the time goes on in the fight, you're going to see it slowly turn in Mayweather's favor. And I think he's going to knock him down, at least knock him down late.
It's possible. So I do, the more I see them like train, and the more I hear from like both people's camps, I can see a stoppage happening for both guys. Because both guys are training like never before. Like, they know this is the fight. This is it. This is the biggest fight. Like, they might not say it, but this is one of the biggest fights of their career. This one's for all the marbles of like the last 5 or 6 years. And they know that they need to put on a show. Which is, I think we're going to get a very good fight. Even if it's not like Matisse Provodnikov last week, it's not going to look like that. But we're still going to get a good fight from both of these guys. You're going to get some technical marvels. You're going to get a few exchanges. You're going to get some intelligent exchanges where one guy's being defensively responsible while exchanging. You're going to see some pinpoint punching where guys have their guard up. A normal guy would not be able to hit them, but these guys are going to hit each other. So you are going to get a good fight regardless of how it turns out. Now, if Manny wins, that's going to be awesome. I mean, the Philippines is going to probably blow up from excitement. You'll probably feel the energy from right here in the States if that happens. If he loses, I do truly feel bad for them, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very distraught.
It's going to be a riot. I don't care. Actually, I think it's going to be a riot either way.
Probably so. But one thing we do have to remember as fans is that life goes on. No matter who wins, we will still wake up the next day, and not much in our lives are going to change. We won't be collecting that $120 million check. We won't collect that $80 million check. We won't connect the pay-per-view back in. None of that stuff is going to us. So what we should do is move on to the next fight, which is Canelo Kirkland.
And enjoy this for what it is.
Exactly. We don't need to be on the internet talking all kinds of trash because we're not going in that ring fighting. We don't need to do any bragging or I told you so, blah, 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 because we've been seeing the chat on the internet for the last few years and you guys have gone pretty low. And it's been pretty despicable. And while, you know, it should have never gotten to that spot in the first place, it did. But you guys have to realize that nothing these guys do really affect your life in the grand scheme of things. So if Manny does lose, don't lose any sleep over it. If Floyd loses, don't lose any sleep over it. Just enjoy the fight. Go home. Maybe it inspires you to get in the ring yourself if you haven't. If you are in the ring, maybe you see something you want to work on. If you take that away, then that's good. But all that other trash that you guys have been spewing out over the years, leave that crap alone. What you got, Rob?
I got nothing. You pretty much said it all.
So we hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Like we said, I know there are tons more keys that you can use, especially as good as these guys are. We want to hear from you guys in the comments section. Think of some good things that Manny can do to help himself out against Floyd and vice versa. Let us know in the comments section. Make sure you like this video. Share it with your friends. Hit us up on Facebook, CapitalofCombat, Google Plus, same name. You can hit us up on our email, capitalofcombat@gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe. Hit up our combat mailbag, technical toolbox. We cover just about every fight that is on. So you'll see plenty more from us. And most likely, not most likely, but especially the recap of the fight.
That's right.
That one, we're going to go really in depth with it as well. We're probably going to watch that fight a couple times to get the best amount of information out there for you guys. So, that's probably the next time you'll see us. So we'll see you then. Peace.
This is round one and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.